I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man.
Are you kidding?
No, you won the fight.
OMG, I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Hope everyone had a fantastic holidays, Christmas, all that fun stuff. I think Hanukkah is still going on right now, though I'm not entirely sure about that. One of my Jewish friends posted, was it menorah, right? Is that what it's called? And it was only like half full, so I think it's still going on. I'm not for sure about that yet, but happy holidays, everyone. Obviously, we have some big news dropping today because, the holidays are kind of over. We can drop news again. We can get back into the swing of our daily routine of boxing and combat sports. And obviously, Wilder Fury 2 being announced and being official. Some sources and rumors on the Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua rematch pay-per-view numbers in the UK and that breaking records. A lot to get to. Fight announcements, fight rumors, all that fun stuff. Gervonta Davis missing weight at the weigh-in today. So he has to make weight, I think, a pound and 1.2 pounds, something like that. It's not a lot, but he has to make that under an hour if he wants to make some WBA belt, regular belt, some bullshit, whatever, and not, forfeit up a percentage of his purse. Just a lot to get to. Plus, one of ESPN's analysts going out there and being completely racist on Twitter because of it. Just a lot to get to on today's show. Should be a fun one, guys. Call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International callers calling on Skype Mixed Combat Radio. But I'm joined, as usual, on these shows by the one and only Gary in Dallas. Gary, what's up, man?
A lot going on today. I was wondering if we were going to have enough news and stuff to talk about on a show, and then things just started falling out left and right. I don't even understand how Tank Davis misses weight at a new weight class, but we'll get into that. I mean, this is something else with this guy. Then all the other news, a lot to get into. Hope everyone had a good holiday. Get yourself a drink, get yourself locked in because we got a lot to talk about.
Let's talk about the Tank Davis missing weight thing because that is just happened right before the show. It should get resolved, honestly, any minute now, to be honest. We should have some second weigh-in within the next few minutes because he was supposed to weigh in within an hour at 1 p.m., I want to say, my time. It's now 2:07 p.m. my time. So we should know relatively soon what Tank is weighing in officially at and what this will all mean, though it's still not going to be much. I mean, he's still going to have the fight. At most, it just means he doesn't fight for some version of the WBA belt, and he forfeits up a percentage of his purse. But Gary, overall, other than that, in terms of material effects, thoughts on Gervonta Davis missing weight at his new weight class at 135? I mean, the comparisons to Adrian Broner are obviously there. They're ad nauseum at this point. But man, if the shoe fits, right? Let's just be honest about it.
I've always been a Tank apologist.
Me too.
I just think the guy's gotten a bad rap. I think he's.
I want to add to it. Also, bad relationship with this promoter, obviously speaking.
Do you think they pull a scale trick on
him? Wait. Hold on. Not true at all. But in this hypothetical world where Floyd Mayweather is that petty to put in a non-calibrated scale for Gervonta Davis so he can miss weight just to be petty, that'd be funny. I mean, Floyd Mayweather's that petty and that maniacal. It could happen, yeah. It's not happening, but I love to live in that world Well, that's the reason Gervonta Davis missed weight. It's not because, he's not as dedicated to the sport as we want him to be and as his talent says he should. No, it's because Floyd Mayweather always ruins him at every turn. It's like the bad villain in a kid's cartoon. You want the mask to, get taken off and it's Floyd Mayweather. Maybe it's just Gervonta Davis still. Let's be honest about it.
1.2 pounds might be a little, it might be a lot. It depends how drained he is, right? Like he might be able to do that in an hour, or it might not be able to do it at all. And that's why he missed weight, because he can't make 135, which is weird because he just made 130 earlier in the year, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
If he's not drained, he should be able to make it. Like, I've cut a pound within an hour for a weigh-in before. Like, it's not impossible. You can do it, especially if you're a high-level athlete. Get on that Peloton and start running the miles, man.
In a rubber suit and just sweat it off. Yeah.
Yep. Don't drink water, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's an hour. You can. I mean, you'll be uncomfortable, but you could do it. Like I said, I've always been his defender. Like, I've always felt like, obviously, there's comparisons to Broner. Broner's a bad dude, all in all. I don't think Tank Davis is. Tank Davis got in trouble because he smacked somebody in his gym. I mean,
Chavez Jr. Then, like, it's more of a.
That's probably a better comparison.
It's more of a guy that continues to fuck up more so than a asshole like Adrian Broner.
Because I can't think of anything like I'm gonna be real. Tank Davis got a lot of money and a lot of success when he was 21 when he beat Pedraza. I mean, if you would have given me millions of dollars and all the fame in the world, to a degree, I mean, I'm not saying he's a rock star, but he's famous.
He had Drake coming out and running miles with him, for God's sake.
I would have done a lot worse at 21 and made a lot more bad decisions than he has with that kind of money and fame. Like, I don't think
I didn't have the money and fame, and I guarantee you I made more mistakes than Gervonta Davis. Guaranteed.
Like, I think there may be some discipline issues, but I ultimately don't think that Tank is a bad guy like Broner. I don't know what with him making weight. Like, this is a reoccurring theme. Now, he's always made it except one time within the 2 hours. And that was the Fonseca fight.
Yes.
So we'll see. We should find out soon if he's got 2 hours. It'll be an hour in just a couple of minutes. If he hasn't shed anything, he's not gonna make it. Like, if he's lost 3/4 of a pound or close to a pound or a pound, then he should be able to make it in the next hour. But I mean, we should find out whether or not he's going to make this weight very soon.
Does it change your opinion about it though if he really makes the weight within that hour or not?
Again, like, you could say it was a scale problem, but there's a scale there. He could have did weight checks. He could have got there 2 hours early and made sure he was on weight.
Yes.
There's never an excuse for missing weight. No, it's not going to change my mind, but I like fighters to be able to make the weight. So I just hope he makes weight from a fan's perspective.
Agreed.
Like, nothing's not going to change my opinion on him.
It just from a PR perspective, it probably will help if he just makes the weight. It will.
Jeff Gordon missed weight by a couple of ounces when he fought Crawford, and he said it was a scale thing. He was shocked that the scale said he was overweight. And he was underweight when he had checked an hour before. Again, I'm not saying it's scale tricks. I'm saying maybe, but a pound is a lot, right? Like, a pound and plus is a lot. It's hard to think that there was just something wrong with the scale.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with the scale, to be honest. Hey, you have a guy that has a history of missing weight. He missed weight. Like, Occam's razor here, guys. Like, he just missed weight. And he has a history of missing weight, probably due to some sort of issue with either something in training camps, maybe in his off season, so to speak. He ballooned up too much, and it's hard for him to get down. I think that's a big possibility because we do know he does balloon up. If he was just a little more dedicated all year, maybe this is an issue. But maybe that's something that, like, there's a click that needs to be happening here with Gervonta Davis. Like, obviously, there's something not clicking here for him to continually miss weight, for his career to be mismanaged this way, let's say. Though every time he has golden opportunities. Like, he is an opportunity here to succeed. He's selling out, relatively speaking, a good-sized arena in Atlanta. It's a market that has completely been underutilized, and I've been saying for years that black athletes need to be going to Atlanta more often for combat sports. They just do. It's a massive market for the African-American community. They have to go there. And the fact that PBC is just now sending their fighters there, a little bit of a misstep. They should have been going there years ago, but digress from the point. Gervonta Davis there in Atlanta, huge opportunity to succeed. You want to have everyone in the world in the African-American community, especially like Black Hollywood, there. I mean, from my memory, Coming to America 2, you had all of Tyler Perry's other movies. Everything's being filmed down there in Atlanta. So expect like Eddie Murphy to be there. Expect like every celebrity that's in Black Hollywood to be there because it's Atlanta. And he's missing weight. It's similar to the Fonseca fight. It's a Mayweather-McGregor card. It's the biggest card he's ever going to be a part of. Period. He misses weight. You know, I don't have a root cause of these issues. It's just upsetting because, like you said, Gary, I've sort of been a Tank apologist. I've liked the guy. I think he's a great, fun fighter to watch. If he fought the right guys, I think he could be somebody we talk about more often as one of the better fighters in the world, especially at his age. But again, mismanagement. He's shooting himself in the foot constantly. I just wish this went. I wish he had more consistency in terms of his career, to be honest.
He should try to sue himself out of that contract. Like, there's got to be some out where if the guy doesn't promote you or have your best interest, that you can get out of that contract.
I think he should write it out. I think it's like, look, unfortunately, powerful people in this industry rule. Like, it's the entertainment industry, right? Sports is the entertainment industry. Floyd Mayweather made close to $1 billion this decade. $950 million he made this decade, guys. That's just one decade out of his near 30-year career. He is by far the most powerful athlete in the world. End of story. Like, to bite that hand might do him a lot of disservice long term in terms of closing particular doors.
Don't you think that hand's already bit?
Maybe, but it's bit behind closed doors in a way. Like, us in the know kind of have read between the lines, but still behind closed doors. You still have Mayweather Promotions out there pushing Gervonta to some degree, right? That means something. You still have a pseudo passing the torch, hey, here's the next me, in that dynamic between him and Gervonta Davis. To bite that hand publicly is a different animal altogether in the entertainment industry. Like, unfortunately, it just is. And plus, he's young enough. Just write it out. Like, how it can't be that long. He can't be stuck there indefinitely. Like, that's just illegal. So, I mean, 3-5 years he's out of his contract, and he's 26, 27 years old. You know? Just write it out.
He's still young, and that's the best part of it. Was he came into his own so young, right? Like, that he can wait out the contract. But obviously, the guy has, we'll call it discipline issues, right? He blows up in between fights. Like, what do you think would be a Tyson Fury thing where if he's away for another year, if Floyd keeps him out of the ring for another year, that he could balloon up and be 180 again, and his days of 135 are over? And you know what I'm saying? And you never really get to see the best of him.
It's possible, but then the alternative is, like, be active. He's been active this year.
He has been.
So just be active. Like, look, unfortunately, he might just be on this diet, so to speak, of just fighting this type of competition. And even Gamboa's not that bad. Like, I know we were shitting on this fight.
Did you have to be top 10? I did at 135.
I got to check again, but he's definitely my top 15. 100%. He made the top 15. Like, I finished by the way, guys, the MCR ranking should be out very, very, very soon. I'm making it look pretty, guys. Don't worry, okay? I'm making it look very cute and everything. Don't worry. It's going to look fantastic. And plus, I got to show, like, the change in the rankings from the last rankings we had. So, anyways, should have rankings finalized near soon. But, anyways, Gamboa, 100% a top 15 135-pounder. You can even argue if he was still fighting at 130, top 15 130-pounder. Like, just sorry, these two divisions aren't the most stacked, and Gamboa does still slip in because he has beaten some guys in the last few years. He just does, unfortunately. Is it the best opponent? No. Is it the worst opponent? No. Is it an all-right opponent? Up to your opinion. But it's definitely not the worst all. It's not what he's been fighting in the last 18 months. This is a massive step up from who he's been fighting. That's just a reality. And then on top of it, he missed weight. Damn it.
It's so frustrating. Hugo Ruiz was probably the worst opponent. And then who did he fight his last time out? Hugo Ruiz was in January, February.
Well, you had Nunez.
Amanda Nunez. That's right.
It's not Amanda.
Amanda Nunez would have been a far better opponent.
And she might have beat him. It's just I don't know. I think Gervonta Davis. I don't know if a training camp, sort of a home environment shift, whatever needs to be done, he needs to fix it. Because this can't keep happening. It's hurting his momentum. Like, you have to make weight.
Did Tank just get married? Because I remember seeing an iced out ring on his finger.
No, but he had a kid recently, I want to say.
Okay. Might have been the wrong hand. I know it would have been but okay. I mean, if he got married, I gained about 40 pounds off the bat right after I got married. So, you know.
I gained 10, 15 off a kid, man. It shit happens. It's going to happen. I understand completely. But Tank does balloon up, man. Those side-by-sides of him and The Rock with the turtleneck, the best thing in the world. Let's get to the news of the day. Obviously, when we find out what Tank Davis makes officially, we'll get back to you on that one. But, guys, the rematch is official. Gary, are you surprised that we have it? Wilder, Fury 2, it's signed, sealed, delivered, it seems. Every side is announcing it. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. UK time. It's going to be at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. You can get it either through your TV or, through Fox pay-per-view, or if you're an ESPN Plus subscriber, allegedly you can get it for a cheaper price through them, a la their UFC pay-per-views. And just a little bit of note, Mike Coppinger saying sources Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury 2 will be an ESPN production using that broadcast team. Agreement calls for any future ESPN Fox pay-per-view collaboration, Wilder Fury 3, to be a Fox production. Fight will be promoted on both networks with shoulder programming commercials, etc. He did sort of walk this back a little bit. I think he later posted that you could see some of the Fox commentators or analysts show up in some capacity on the telecast, but that's up to ESPN's discretion, I believe. So, Gary, thoughts on, obviously, Wilder Fury 2 being announced. It's official, MGM Grand Garden Arena, February 22nd. And the fact that we're going to get sort of the ESPN, it's going to be co-promote or co-network, but ESPN is going to take kind of the lion's share of the live production, it seems. Thoughts on all of this and the potential, obviously, trilogy fight with Fox coming in and being the predominant broadcaster?
Again, I largely don't care who the broadcaster is as long as we're getting the fight. You know what I'm saying?
I want to add to that. They both kind of suck too. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No, they both do.
If this was Showtime or ESPN, it would be a discussion we had. Like if it was ESPN's commentary team instead of Showtime's commentary team, I'd be like, whoa, hold up here. We got to change that up here. We can't have Tessitore and Tim Bradley call this fight. Let's get Paulie, let's get Bernstein, let's get Morrow, let's get them back in here. But it's Goosen and Lennox and Ray Mancini versus Tessitore, Tim Bradley, Andre Ward. I'll take Andre Ward.
That's what they should put Ward. I like Ward.
I'm okay for it.
Too.
What?
As a broadcaster.
You like who?
Paulie.
Yeah, I like Paulie as a broadcaster, yes.
They should have those two guys together with a punch by punch guy, right? So they should pick one. And I would pick Tessitore up the two. Of those my two options, I'm taking Tessitore with Ward and Paulie, and that's your team, and that's a good team. And the way, I don't think you could find two more opposite people between Paulie Malignaggi and Andre Ward. Having that in the booth, I think would be really interesting. Because Ward's kind of straightforward, he plain and simple, and then Paulie is a maniac.
Yeah,
so
bombastic.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that contrast would be really interesting to have. It could be awful. They could end up screaming at each other the whole time. Well, not that Ward would scream at him, but Ward would just dismiss him. It would be a fun contrast to see. I think that I don't know what their plans are or how cemented their plans are, but just an idea. Tessitore, or go out and get a good a good punch by punch guy and have him teamed up with Ward. And look, you're spending a lot of money on boxing, both Fox and ESPN. Why not do it right? Right, like Monday Night Football is an expensive sports broadcast. They put their best foot forward, right? Like, why not try that in boxing? You put a lot of money into it. This is your big event. You're not gonna have a bigger event, period, unless Floyd Mayweather comes back, right? If you're Fox, you're not gonna have a bigger event if you're ESPN, period. So I don't like. Why wouldn't you do this, right? Like put your best foot forward and don't give us a telecast that largely sucks.
No, I Gary, trust me, I agree wholeheartedly. Okay. And also a lot of people in the chat saying that a Ward Lewis combination would be something that they like. Do people really like Lewis over Goosen? I like Goosen over Lewis, to be honest. I think Lewis, he's rough in my opinion, man. That Charlo Harrison, maybe it's just recency bias. That last card he was on, Lewis was rough, guys. Let's be honest about it, okay? But apparently a lot of people want to see Ward and Lennox Lewis together. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I would be okay with that pairing, I guess. And a lot of people agree with you that Tessitore, you put Tessitore in there.
I'm not. That's not a ringing endorsement of Tessitore by any means. I'm just saying he's better than
who would be the Fox comparison? I'm trying to remember who's
Albert. It's one of the Albert boys.
Oh, that fucker! No, God,
Kenny,
no.
Is it Al or Kenny? It's Kenny Albert, right? I don't know. It's one of the Alberts.
It depends, because doesn't Brian Kenny do some of the Fox shows too?
I'm still taking Tessitore, and I like Brian Kenny to a degree. I'm familiar with him. I'm still taking Tessitore over Kenny.
Tessitore has such an ESPN bias, though. It's so nauseating. Brian Kenny at least is like a little more objective on the DAZN telecast. I'll give him that credit. When he's on DAZN telecast, he's not as biased as Sergio Mora. So, but I like that everyone in the chat is in unison. We all don't want Timothy Bradley on the telecast. I like that we all can agree as a boxing community that Timothy Bradley, not a good commentator. Not that great.
Speaking of company guy, that guy toes the company line. That he is. So and I was a huge Bradley fan. He's one of my favorite fighters. Like watching Bradley to me was like watching a mini Evander Holyfield. Like that guy had all dog in him. But you know, when he came out and said that Deontay Wilder is the only PBC fighter he respects, and he's the only one. Well, like, okay, dude, do you know what I'm talking about, Matt?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Oh, I know. Yes, he's nauseating to me.
Like, well, you were a Bradley fan though, right? As a fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone was. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, even like Mayweather stands, like you had a respect for Bradley, and that's kind of one of those fantasy fights you always wanted to see happen. That was cross network that just never could be made. No, I like Bradley, and I thought Bradley got so much hate from the Pacquiao fights, which wasn't his fault.
Nor was it really a bad decision either, by the way.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a bad decision, especially in retrospect. We've had worse since then, guys. Come on.
Like the one we're talking about, like Wild the Fury 1.
No, I wouldn't agree with that, but all right there, Gary. Let's not go that far here. But like after the Marquez fight, I mean, how can you not be won over as a Timothy Bradley fan after that? He just tailed off insanely. I mean, obviously you had the Provodnikov fight of the year, but like to me, that wasn't the fight that made Bradley something to me. Even though it did for a lot of casuals, and I'm not casuals is probably a derogatory term to use, but for a lot of people, that blood and guts nature of that fight, it won over a lot of people post the Pacquiao fight. But for me, watching Marquez post when Marquez knocked out Pacquiao, chef's kiss. I know it wasn't the biggest fight, it wasn't the most exciting, but that was a good fight. But digressing from that, let's get back to Wilder Fury for a second. A little bit in terms of the promotion of this, per Steve Kim of ESPN, don't expect a press conference for the February 22nd rematch between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Bob Arum told ESPN, quote, "We're doing something unusual tomorrow. Wilder will be in Atlanta for the first game of the college football playoffs, and Fury will be in Arizona for the second game. We're going to be using all of those games to do the announcement. We're not going to be doing any press tour. Those games featuring LSU, Oklahoma, and Clemson, Ohio State will be televised on ESPN by ESPN on Saturday." Kevin Owley, though, has come out and said Wilder apparently couldn't make it to Atlanta, so he won't be at the Peach Bowl now. But overall, Gary, thoughts on the lack of press conferences, lack of press tour, them trying to use college football as sort of the platform to promote this announcement more than anything. Thoughts on that?
I know it's going to seem different, but I remember Errol Spence having an announcement for the Mikey Garcia fight at the Cowboys game the Thanksgiving before. That fight did well. Much better than a lot of people expected, both in ticket sales and in pay-per-view buys.
Yep.
I know it's unconventional, but I don't think it's a bad idea. You're putting it in front of the sports audience. Those college football games are going to have a massive rating. I think putting Deontay Wilder in Atlanta would have really helped. Unfortunately, he's not going to be there in person, so that doesn't help. But I don't think it's bad. I think you're putting out big heavyweights, larger than life heavyweights, in front of the casual audience, and I think that's going to play well. I think there's always going to be a thirst from the casual fan, the sports fan, for heavyweight boxing, especially heavyweight boxing with big, massive guys who knock you out. And that's what you have, especially with Wilder. So and you got two guys you have fun personalities, two people who are playful, two people who are largely liked, right? So I think it's a good move, honestly. And I'm guessing you don't, Matt.
No. I'm not okay with like the and or discussion. Like, this is fucking Fox and ESPN. You have the fucking budget. And again, I think they kind of waited a little bit too long to announce this. They should have announced it before Christmas, in my opinion. I know that's not the usual thing to do. You wait till after the holidays, but because of that, you have a small window to promote this fight. You only have 8 weeks for these guys to train for this. You don't have a lot of time to promote this fight. I get it. But you have a fucking press tour. Even if it's just a 2-city press tour, it's a 3-city, whatever it is, you must have an announcement press conference that is live streamed, that is telecast on ESPN, on Fox. You have to do that. And do this. That would be my argument. Like, if I'm Heyman, if I'm Bob Arum, if I'm anyone that has some control in this conversation, I am pushing for that still. Like, we need an announcement press conference. We need these guys together. We need that face-off. Like, you need those moments. And to not have that, and to have, like, Fury do his own thing across the world in Arizona, even though it's going to be seen by a lot of people, and Wilder, obviously not anymore, but originally supposed to be in Atlanta doing his own thing, to me, that's a disconnected promotion. They need to be together. And then you put them through the fucking car wash, both on ESPN and on regular TV, like Good Morning America, radio, do Breakfast Club, all that stuff. But be together. The dynamic between these guys is what's amazing, to be honest. Like, if you look at like the greatest promotional tours in combat sports history, they have been together the whole time. Mayweather, McGregor, Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Mayweather, Canelo. Like, they toured everywhere together. Okay, McGregor, Aldo. I mean, guys, go. I know for boxing heads, they may not understand this, but go look up like Aldo McGregor promo tour stuff, and look at just all the media they did outside of the press conference together. Brazilian morning shows, American morning shows, Irish morning shows, all together, seated next to each other. Why? To build that tension, to tell the story. So I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's smart. You know, I think to have sports that reach tens of millions of people, you need to use that. Like, that's a big giant commercial for you. Use it. That makes 110% sense. I just don't think that it makes sense to have this and or issue where it's like, oh, we're not going to get press conferences, but we're going to get this thing. It's like both could be better. And to get that 2 million pay-per-view buys that Arum's out there asking for, you kind of need to do that.
And I would chill on the 2 million pay-per-view buys if I was Bob Arum. Just, I don't know what his real expectations are, but I hope it's not that. Second, I agree with Matt. There still has to be some kind of tour with these guys, a 4-city tour announcing. I guess it wouldn't be announcing the fight, but something to put these two guys in the room together. LA, Vegas, New York, London, right? Put them in all 4 cities. It's that kind of fight. I mean, Matt said a 2 or 3 cities. So we just did New York and LA or New York and Vegas. That's not enough, right? Like this is a big deal, right? Like Broner and Pacquiao did 3 cities. Like this is a big fight. This is the biggest fight ESPN's going to have in the foreseeable future, and possibly the biggest by Fox too. So treat it like that. I know ESPN has a million other ways to make money in sports. I get that, right? But like, you're investing a lot of money into this. How much money are you giving Fury? Like, this should be a big deal to you. So treat it like one. Do a 4-city tour, put them face to face, and I know you have your sight sets on 2 million. I hope they realize that that's not really going to happen. If you do half that or a third of that, you should be very happy. You should be through the roof if you do a third of that, right? What 700,000? That would be a third.
It'd be like it'd be 600 something.
667,000.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But digressing from that, I agree with you, 100%. This fight should have been announced the week after Wilder's fight with Ortiz, and they should have done the press tour immediately, right then and there, before the holidays. That's what I would have done. And they kind of, in this age, I think a lot of promoters and networks shorten themselves up by doing this. Canelo does it all the time now too. Canelo Kovalev, I think, was hurt by the very narrow window they had to promote the fight, and it shows. But the traffic for Canelo Kovalev was less than Canelo Jacobs. Why? Because Canelo Jacobs had a tour. It had much more time to promote itself. Having 7-8 weeks maximum to announce and promote a fight is not enough. It's just not, guys. Think about like a movie or a TV show. It has like a year or 2 years of build up and hype, right? You have the development stage. You have the production stage. You have the post-production stage. And then you have all the junkets and the media tour. And then you have the premiere. And then you have all that stuff. That's a 2-year process to promote a movie or a TV show. Promoters in boxing think, we can just put this thing out here in a few weeks and it's fine. No, that's not smart. Same with the Fox pay-per-views. Like, I have a big issue with them thinking that all we need is a hard month of promoting. No. There's a reason you guys are stuck at that like 300,000 number. Because of that. It's only a month of promoting. That's not enough.
They have to weigh their game, right? So if I put 3 months in and I only get 500,000 viewers, 500,000 purchasers, that wasn't worth the extra 2 months of. Well, I don't know what their break-even point would be, but I'm just using hypothetical numbers.
I think it's so easy and cheap to promote boxers nowadays, especially with PBC. First off, you're already tied into the hip-hop community. I mean, Sway, Breakfast Club, Drink Champs, Joe Budden's podcast. I mean, go down the list of media options, Everyday Struggle. Like, you can literally go on a who's who of outlets that are towards your demographic, that your athletes would just, I think, flourish on. They don't use it. And we know Heyman has music connections, so use them. Use those connections. Not that hard. And plus, music, like, and artists overall love athletes. Vice versa. Use that. Like, you're a music guy, Heyman. Like, this should be a really, like, easy promotional step for you as a company to use, like, music and hip-hop podcasts and shows as a catalyst and a promotional arm for your fights. Put them on Jesus and Miro. Put them on all that stuff. Like, how isn't guys like Wilder, Spence, Thurman, even guys like Caleb Plant, even because that guy has some style. You know, all of these guys, Gervonta Davis even, put through the mill on Jesus and Miro, on Showtime, Breakfast Club, Sway in the Morning, again, Complex, Everyday Struggle. Like, there's a lot of different outlets that these guys can promote on that's, in my opinion, cheap. And they're all in one city. You can do that all in New York in 2 days. You know what I mean? So I think promoters are lazy. This goes back to our discussion weeks ago, Gary. Promotions and PBC, even though it's not promotion, I'm including them in here, they're lazy at times. They just go to the simple 1 + 1 = 2 promotional tactics instead of really forcing something down the casual audience's throat, which you have to do. But digressing from that, one last little aspect of the Wilder Fury announcement, and then we're going to get to the Joshua Ruiz pay-per-view numbers, and it's sort of a co-topic because it's all on one tweet. Mike Coppinger saying, sources, the Wilder Fury 2 U.S. pay-per-view is settled. ESPN Fox joint pay-per-view with ESPN producing. But the UK pay-per-view home remains undecided. Both BT and Sky Sports are believed to be pursuing the rights. We're going to get to that last sentence in that tweet after. But, Gary, thoughts on Sky and BT bidding for Wilder Fury 2 for UK pay-per-view rights? Who do you think is going to win out? Do you think it's going to be a tough bid? I mean, obviously BT with the Fury and Frank Warren connection. Do you see them losing it to Sky and Sky being the pay-per-view or box office network, so to speak, that just did Wilder Ortiz 2? So
I believe that BT doesn't have any guaranteed rights to Fury's fights. I can't believe they had to go bid like everyone else.
I'm not surprised.
That being the case, I don't know how it works over there.
Fury got an ESPN deal, not a BT Sports deal.
There wasn't any kind of package. So it was strictly, obviously.
Well, there's no literal connection between BT Sports and ESPN. There's a working relationship between them constantly, but it's not like they're conglomerate. They're under the same conglomerate. That's just not the case.
BT has more of an interest in the fight, so would they be willing to break the bank more? My other side would say Sky Sports has a lot more money than BT Sport, right? So if Sky Sports really wants it, they could outbid them. Could they not?
Wait, sorry, repeat that.
Sky Sports has a lot more money than BT Sport. So if Sky Sports really wanted, they could simply outbid BT. Is that fair? I mean,
I would say that. I would say yes. I mean, I wish Rob was on the show to give his opinion on this, but I would say yes. I mean, Sky seems to be the bigger machine than BT Sport, but BT has a relationship with Frank Warren. So I would see that they would potentially go harder for this bid in this fight than Sky Sports, who might back off on it. They might bid on it to make BT spend a bunch of money on it, but I don't see Sky going after it to the same degree that BT will. Maybe I'm wrong about that. And potential lunatic in the chat saying BT has as much money as Sky. So they're equal.
Then I would think BT is going to get it. If all things are equal, BT has more to lose by not getting it. So I would say BT is going to do what they need to do to get it. And again, that also depends on like how do they just send in their offers and then they have to accept one and reject one, or is it like I don't know how that works, right?
I don't know how the mechanics of the bidding process is. I mean, each bidding process is probably a little bit different, right? Or there's different styles of bidding process for these sort of network deals overseas. But I would assume you have like you maybe have like first bids and maybe you get like a secondary bid, but maybe not. It would be speculation on my part at this point. I think BT is going to keep it though. I just see it. The last Wilder Fury fight was BT. Sky just had Wilder Fury 2, and Wilder Ortiz 2. I can see them letting go of Wilder for one or two fights. It's not a big deal to them. It's not a huge aspect of their overseas venture, so to speak.
No, so your gut says that BT is going to carry it over there. Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, I think that relationship with Frank Warren is going to carry over. It's just funny, like you said, that there's no contractual obligation from Fury to be on BT Sport box office. Like, that is surprising. Because I don't think that was the case for the first fight. Like, I don't remember there being a bidding process between Sky and BT for Wilder Fury 1. Maybe I forget it.
I don't remember anything like that either.
I don't know. But digress from that, moving on to the next topic. Andy Ruiz, unless you have anything else to say about Wilder Fury 2. No. Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua in the rematch broke, according to Mike Coppinger, UK pay-per-view record with over 1.6 million buys on Sky Sports. I mean, obviously, really, really impressive. I mean, not totally surprising because AJ is such a massive star, but still impressive for them. I mean, anytime you break a record like that, props to you guys. Obviously, the promotion for it was intense. Obviously, the storyline of it was amazing. And plus, it was one of the biggest fights of the year. So it doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest.
My only concern is that it's a great number, and that's good. Whenever boxing does a good number anywhere on the face of this earth, I'm happy with that. Does that mean we're going to get a rematch, a trilogy, though? Because the number did so good that we need to do it again.
Eventually, yeah, for sure. Not
but
next.
Not straight away.
No,
Okay. If they have a trilogy, that means Ruiz put himself back into contention and say he beat Quinaki and Ortiz, and that's fine.
And I think that's absolutely possible.
Yeah, then I have no problem. If he won those 2 fights, he deserves another title shot, but not before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't really care for the rematch next, but I mean, not surprised that they did big numbers, and I am really curious to see Andy Ruiz outside of a AJ pairing or even a Wilder pairing, what he does now. Like, if I was PBC, I would put him versus Wanaki as a Fox main event.
Yeah,
and really test out. Okay, how much of a draw is he? And put him on free TV on Fox and in a fun heavyweight fight. That's what I would do.
Do you put it in LA or New York?
I would do LA because you really trying to test out Andy Ruiz. Like that's that fight would be a vehicle to test Ruiz, and if he loses, Wanaki is a guy that's already kind of been a regional star in the tri-state area. I think heavyweights are heavyweights, so that happens. And plus, he's Polish, so like he has a demographic he can sort of mark himself to. So like it wouldn't be a huge loss per se. It would be a loss, don't get me wrong, but not as big of a loss as him losing to, like, let's say Carlos Takam or something like that, right? Like losing to that level of opponent would be a huge loss for Andy Ruiz, but losing to Wanaki not as much. But digressing, another shot for Heath in the chat saying that he's taking shots every time I say digressing. You poor bastard. I think you put it in the Forum or Staples. Please put it in the Forum. Please put it in the Forum. The Forum is so much better.
You?
It is closer to me. The parking's better. It's just the Forum's better. And plus, I like the idea of like I can just go right outside and be outside. Like Staples Center, there's those I don't know, Super LA, factoid here. There's like one bar on like the second or third floor they can go out to that's outside. That's on like the balcony, so to speak, that overlooks where, like the main entrance into Staples Center. That's the only fresh air you can get in that place. I like fresh air in venues. I just do. The Forum, it's basically in like a huge open area in Inglewood, and it has an outside like patio around the whole thing with like not restaurants, but like those like bar carts with beer and alcohol, and like the small like sandwich places that make you like fresh sandwiches. But that's all outside, so you can go from your seat to straight outside, fresh air. I love it. In my old smoking days, fantastic. Trust me, you needed that. But digressing from that, and it's closer. I think again, Ruiz, Wanaki, LA on Fox, test out the draw that he is, and AJ. I mean, he is the biggest UK boxing star of all time, right? Like he's bigger than Ricky Hatton. Do we need to have this conversation anymore?
I don't know. I mean, he probably is, yeah. And that's got to grind at Lennox Lewis because Lennox Lewis is so much better than him.
He's Canadian, though. It doesn't matter. Let's move on, though. Nayao Inoue back in action, potentially. Bob Arum has told media that Nayao Inoue's next fight will take place April 25th in Las Vegas. They are trying to make the match, trying to match the already unified WBA IBF bantamweight champion in a further unification against either WBC champion Nordino Bali or WBO champ John Rael Casamora. And because of that date, I am thinking that it will be the co-main event to Lomachenko Lopez. Just what I'm thinking. Lomachenko Lopez, April. You have Inoue versus or Bali or Casamora in Vegas. That's way too big of a market for that fight. I assume it's going to be a co-main event to Lomachenko Lopez, which will do pretty well, like, let's say, like the Mandalay Bay events, something like that. A little bit smaller venue, like the mid-sized venue in Vegas. Gary, thoughts on Inoue fighting for unification next? No tune-up after his, orbital fracture and broken nose, and plus the potential, that I'm speculating here of it landing on the card, the co-main event to Lomachenko Lopez.
I wasn't even thinking that. I was just thought Vegas was a weird place to put it. But no, that makes a lot of sense. You're probably right about that, right? I was like, okay, Vegas, it's a big fight. I don't know.
And you use Loma as a vehicle to promote your new signee, Inoue. That's what I would do.
That is, Lopez, both those cards are great on their own. Inoue versus one of those guys. And then Lopez versus Lomachenko is obviously like my favorite card so far for next year. So that's a great card. It won't be the biggest card of the year, especially with Fury and Wilder too. But it's my favorite card so far. I love that card with both those fights on it. Lopez versus Lopez versus Lomachenko is a can't miss, and Inoue versus anyone is a can't miss. So I love that card. It's a really good card. I hope they put it in front of enough people. Do you think it's going to be pay-per-view?
If it's Loma Lopez, no. I think that'd just be ESPN Plus, to be honest.
Even with Inoue on it, with both those names on it.
Yeah. If it's pay-per-view, then we need to really take the pot away from Bob Arum, right?
Do you think it'll do better if it was pay-per-view? Do you think it does better than Crawford Khan? It's hard to think it does worse. You know what I'm saying?
Probably around the same. It does maybe above 100,000, but it's still a bomb. It's still a huge box office bomb. Let's be honest.
200, because at 200 you start to hit where no,
because Crawford's a bigger star than Loma. Crawford's routinely done bigger TV numbers, better gate numbers than Loma. It's not even a question. Loma is still kind of in 3,000 and 4,000, 5,000 seats arenas.
Yeah, no, I get that, right? He's Crawford's a much bigger star, all right? But maybe it's just me. It is Lopez versus Lomachenko not really such a big deal if you're outside of the boxing bubble?
I'm of that mindset. Still very much an insular fight. It's first off the lightweight division, so you're on that threshold of hardcore divisions. Let's just be honest here. Lopez is a guy that, while he has been promoted heavily by Top Rank, I don't know if he's been promoted equally as heavily as ESPN, if you guys understand the difference there. I've seen him a lot with, let's say, Max Kellerman. But I haven't really seen Tifo Lopez go outside of that and branch to other ESPN shows, do the car wash that we talk about often, right? The Dan Le Batard show, whatever it may be. Go do other ESPN shows. For example, Jorge Masvidal, when he knocked out Ben Askren and was going to fight Nate Diaz at the UFC card, he went on all the ESPN shows, talked about all the highlights of all the different sports, was actually on the show as a guest host. That is, to spend an entire day self-promoting on a network like that is massive. Tifo Lopez never really has done that. He's been on Max on Boxing show, but that's really it. Hasn't really branched outside of that. So I think it's still very much a hardcore fight. And obviously, Inoue is a hardcore fight. Let's be honest about it.
I don't think it's any. It's like Lomachenko versus Rigo was, right? Where boxing fans are all abuzz over it, but outside of the boxing world, no one else really cares. That's kind of like that?
No, because Loma Rigo actually did really good numbers. That was the best numbers Loma's ever done. Was the Rigo fight. If it does, let's say in some hypothetical world, it's on ESPN, regular ESPN. It does those numbers, huge success. If it does over 2 million views, so massive.
Now, Loma Rigo followed the Heisman show, didn't it?
Yes.
So you had that, you had that.
Yeah, but I think the lead-in context, while it's necessary at times, is used often as an excuse for events doing well. But we just saw with the Crawford fight that was on the Heisman show, or I had a Heisman lead-in, it didn't matter. No. He had a million viewership drop-off from his last fight that was on ESPN. Massive drop-off. Lead-in didn't count, didn't matter. Even though that had also a noticeable drop-off in the last Heisman, the last year's Heisman ceremony. Doesn't matter. It was a precipitous drop-off for Crawford. So to your point, maybe the matchup of Lopez-Loma, when it gets closer, does it break over that bubble? Potentially. To a slight degree where it hits maybe more of that wider sporting audience that still likes boxing, but they tune in for, let's say, 3 or 4 cards a year. That type of fan, maybe. This might be one of their 5 cards a year they watch. I could see that.
Yeah.
But you would have to promote it. And promote it more than you have any Loma fight before, let's be honest.
So if I said to you it does better or worse than Loma Rigo, what would you say?
I would probably say it does worse.
Yeah, that's not good. Loma should Loma should have used that to build a star. Like, he should be projecting up from there, not that be his plateau.
I think Lopez is going to beat Loma. They're going to do a very good viewership, a very respectable viewership. Maybe even hit that 2 million average, the whole telecast average. That'd be massive for them. And then he's going to go on and be a big star after that and fight bigger names and do better numbers. And that would be big for Lopez. Loma's tapped out, like, in terms of his ceiling. He just has, in my opinion. Like, we're not going to see Loma become a bigger star than what he is.
No, I mean, we would have been a bigger star by now, right? Like, you know, he would have take off after the Rigo fight, which he didn't. But Lopez has a chance to be a pay-per-view star, especially given his division. He's going to have Ryan Garcia there. He's going to have Devin Haney and Tanahara there.
It's not even that when he moves up to 147, man. And
then, but Haney's going to be there every step of the way. Like, Haney's a big dude, right? So I would have him fight Haney as quickly as possible, and then have him fight again at 147 at different stages of their career. Like, that could really be a fun rivalry for the next 10, 12 years because they're both so young and so good.
Ryan Garcia is a massive fight for him, too. Let's be honest.
He's not at that level. But yeah, no, it is a big fight, but he'll blow him out and then be like, okay, well, we're not really. Do we really need to see this again kind of thing? You know?
Yeah, but I mean, it wouldn't be as bad like the Tanahara fight.
Well, I mean, Tanahara would be Tanahara versus Teofimo Lopez.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, Lopez would destroy Tanahara far more than he would destroy Ryan Garcia.
No, Ryan Garcia would get knocked out. Tanahara would have to box beautifully up the box back, but like he does, and, you know, turn it into his style of fight and not get in.
I want everyone to know when they see the rankings, because I'm going to put like the PDF link so you guys can see like the spreadsheet, see my individual rankings and Gary's individual rankings, see the math for yourselves, right? And plus it's the overall rankings. But where Gary has Tanahara is criminal, guys. And his ranking at 135. It is criminal. You have him like number 7 or 6 in the world. It is.
I have him at 10. He's at
10.
He's
not. He is not at 10. I don't know. I'm not.
I'm 9. I think he's at 10. I'm 90% certain.
I'm pulling it up right now.
90% certain he's at 9 or 10.
I'm pulling it up right now. We can wait, Gary.
Yeah. Okay.
But while we're waiting, which fight would you prefer, Casimir or Abali for Inoue?
I'm fine with either fight. If I had my druthers.
Damn, you're right. You had Tanahara at 10. You had Tanahara at 10. I bet.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure he was in the top 10. So I was like, it was really only 9 other spots I was filling. I didn't remember if I put him at 9 or 10. I would rather probably the Obali fight. I think he's more athletic. I think Casimir would just get blown out. I think too much there to be hit. Where Obali's more athletic and both guys are getting knocked out. Don't get it twisted, right? Like either guy. Both guys would get knocked out in the same night. But I would rather see Obali.
And plus, I mean, you have the storyline of him beating his brother, Takuma Inoue. Like, that's automatic selling point for me. Like, that's petty, you know, soap opera bullshit narratives that I love in combat sports. Give me that. You know, just for the sake of argument, you know, we're about halfway done with the show. So guys, call in 323-870-4051 and press 1 to get in the queue. International callers calling on Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Gary, I know you're not as online as I am, per se. I'm really online on Twitter and seeing what the boxing streets are talking about, right? And there was a discussion this last week or so, last few days, let's say, that over the Fight of the Year nominations, awards given to Inoue versus Donaire. And a lot of people compared it to Gervonta Davis, who, by the way, did make weight. He got made to like 134.8. By the way, he did make weight, just for those who want to know. That it would be the equivalent of Gamboa going like life and death with Gervonta Davis and putting on a fight of the year contender, and all of us saying that, oh, that means Gervonta Davis is pound for pound. Do you think those two things are equal?
No, that's a logical fallacy called a false equivalence, right? Like, no, those two things. We already saw Donaire.
Are they similar? Maybe they're not equal, but are they similar in any way? Just to play devil's advocate.
I don't think so, because I'm a Gamboa fan, but we haven't seen anything to think that he's back. We saw Donaire look really good against Brian Burnett, and that fight ended prematurely. And Burnett, I had on my pound for pound list, right? And then a guy that replaced Tete, he blew him out, right? So we saw that Donaire still had a ton of firepower at 118. That was probably the best weight for him. And I don't think Donaire definitely had moments and it was a great fight. I don't think Inoue got life or death. I mean, obviously he got his face broken in, but I felt he was in control for most of that fight, although it was a great fight.
Well, take away the life and death angle. Let's just say that, like,
great fight.
No, Inoue facing and going and struggling, let's say, and having a fight of the year performance against Nonito Donaire, a guy, let's say, Carl Frampton kind of beat, like an 8-2 scorecard, something like that, or was that a 12-rounder? It would be like,
so like 9-3.
Yeah, 9-3, something like that. It was pretty clear that Carl Frampton was winning the fight, and it was a slow-paced fight. We saw Donaire sort of look old, and all of a sudden he had a very quick fight with Burnett that ended via injury, so we didn't really get to see what happened there. He fought a replacement to Tete, so that really didn't, give us much there. And then he gave Inoue, a guy that skipped a lot of the tough fights at 115. Let's just be honest about it. And struggled with Donaire. Is that a sign that maybe we are overhyping Inoue at all? That's been a conversation I have seen. I am putting that out there for us to discuss because I've just seen it out there. That would be interesting for us to discuss. And plus, we're talking about Inoue here. But I don't know. I'll be honest. I thought it was a compelling argument. I don't know if it's true because I like you said, I like Inoue. I like Donaire. For the comparison, I've been seeing the Davis and Gamboa comparison. I like Gamboa too. I've always been high on Gamboa. So that comparison's a little bit of a weird comparison because people are shitting on Gamboa and I think he shouldn't be shitted on. But we thought Inoue was the destroyer of worlds. Donaire was a faded veteran in some ways that shrunk himself down by nearly 20 pounds to make this division for a last run. Is a sign that we are overhyping Inoue. Is it possible?
I mean, I don't think so, because look at his 3 fights before that. They were all first and second round blowouts of really good fighters. So I don't think so. Look, you're not going to be able to knock everyone out in the first round. Donaire is much bigger, much stronger than him. And no, Donaire's a Hall of Famer. It's like saying, was Canelo overrated because an over-the-hill Miguel Cotto gave him problems? It's like, no, Cotto's a great fighter. Canelo got a tough fight, and Canelo was that great, and he got past him. Right? If Canelo wasn't great, he wouldn't have got past Cotto. If Donaire wasn't great, he wouldn't have got past...
if Inoue wasn't great, yeah.
If Inoue wasn't great, he wouldn't have got past Donaire, right? No, I don't think it means that we're overrating him. I think it means that you're not going to blow everyone out. He got a real tough guy who's naturally bigger than him, and he passed the test. It was a heck of a test, but I thought he passed it with flying colors. I mean, I thought Donaire won a few rounds, and Donaire definitely hurt him and had a moment, but Inoue did the better work and landed the cleanest shots and nearly stopped him in, was it the 10th round? 9th round? 10th round? What round did he drop him with the body shot?
I think it's the 11th.
Was it the 11th?
I could be wrong. I want to say 11th. I'm guessing here.
Okay.
It's around the end of the fight. I agree with all your points that you just said there. I think you're overall right. I just think it's good to have some balance here to the discussion. Because, I mean, let's be honest here. Inoue is hyped to a significant degree.
We are probably his 2 biggest fans in the States. And to have us always talk about him. It's like when you watch the old World Series and it would be like McCarver and Buck. McCarver was a Hall of Famer for the Cardinals, and Buck's dad, Jack Buck, was the Cardinals play-by-play guy for 50 years, right? And they would call the World Series. And when the Cardinals played in the World Series, it was just like a love affair with the Cardinals. I feel like when me and Matt get on the Inui bandwagon, sometimes it might sound like that too. The listener.
Oh,
Because-
yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the next topic. By way of a Spanish reporter. I'm not going to act like I can read all this, but it's just quotes from Roman Gonzalez talking in an interview saying that he wants to fight in February and that he could face either Ioka or Yafe in a unification next year. Also mentioned Estrada, other names. Roman Gonzalez comeback here obviously was just a few days ago. Gary, you didn't watch the fight when we were talking about it, so I'm assuming you went back and watched it. Thoughts on where he can go next and his chances in these divisions?
When you said that, he didn't look like he was in shape and he looked like he was carrying around some extra weight, I saw that. To me, it looked like he was entering his first day of camp, like after a long layoff, like a long Christmas holiday. It's like, okay, I'm going to start my camp now, and like this was his first day. You could see the work rate was there in spots. You could see like the head body mixing it up. Offensive firepower was there, but like he looked slower. He looked like he wasn't in shape. Like it looked like I hope this is the worst it gets, not as good as it gets. Like I hope this was a short camp that you didn't really prepare yourself for because the fight wasn't that serious. Because if this is, you can see it. You know what I'm saying? It's like watching a faded basketball player, right? Okay, once in a while he can get it going, but like you can't do that for 48 minutes, right? So it was like I can see what made him great, but like I don't think he can do it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I see it, but like his body can no longer do what his brain tells it to do. Like he's over the hill. That's kind of what I saw, but again, it looked like he wasn't in great shape, so maybe he just didn't really prepare himself for that fight, right? Maybe I don't know. Like you could see the things that made him great, but it seems like he just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it was a weird performance. So what do you think about his chances against like guys like Cal Yafe or Ioka? I'm a little bit worried, I'll be honest. Like I feel like they're going to use him for a name.
I'm going to be kind and say incomplete. Like the jury's still out. Like I don't know because I'm not going to judge him off that one performance because I don't think he was game ready for that performance.
I'm hoping you're right. Plus, that was at 118. He's coming back down to 115 for this fight or for these fights. So maybe that is just, shed that extra few pounds, train a little bit better, train more like it's a real training camp. Maybe you're right. Like it's a tune up. I need to get the webs off a little bit and I'll be good to go for the next one. I'll train like it's legit. Hopefully, man. But then we get to an aspect of, man, how athletes need to be prepared year-round to a degree, especially boxers and athletes that do have year-round sports. So for him to be out of shape even in his off season or whatever, that's the concern, I think, especially with his age, the amount of wars he's been, the amount of miles on his body. Like I'm concerned. As a Gonzalez fan, I don't want to see him go out with a bunch of losses. Like that would be really sad for him to be put out there as just a name to put people over. Because that's what obviously promoters are looking at him as. Eddie Hearns looking at him that way, 100%. Other promoters are looking at him in that way, guaranteed.
He's one of the biggest stars in recent history in the smaller weight classes.
Yes,
he was one of the only guys that had big appeal at the smaller weight classes. So his name, his star power, especially with his punching power, he's gonna have longevity, right? Like they could use his name for a while. For really as long as he wants to go. So again, I hope that he just wasn't really game ready for that fight and that, there's still plenty left in the tank. But again, everything, it's his age, the wear and tear on his body, the amount of wars, everything kind of looks like this is a shot fighter.
Yeah, man, it's concerning. Again, as a Gonzalez fan, when talk about like us being a New Wave fanboys, right? I was a Roman Gonzalez fan before anyone in the low weight classes, so to speak. I remember him, like, again, fighting Akira Higashi back in, 2000 and what was that, 13, 14, somewhere around that. Like, those are back at is reign at 112 at flyweight. Roman Gonzalez was a killer at 112. Go back and watch his fights. Please, you have to do that. Igloo saying stars going on to build other stars, but lose them is the natural cycle. Oh, no, of course it is. No, don't get me wrong, don't get you wrong. We understand the natural process. It's still sad, though. Like, Roy Jones Jr. losing to everyone on his way out, sad. Like, it just is.
It's being knocked out of the ring.
Like, it's sad to a degree. Yes, is it necessary to a degree? Is it the natural cycle of sports overall and just like natural selection to a degree? Like, it's Darwinism? Absolutely. But it's still sad. Like, especially if you're a fan of that fighter, to see them be used in that way, never fun. It's never a fun thing to see that. Especially when you look back into the old days and their prime. It's hard as a fan of them. Eddie Hearn was on IFL talking about Matchroom. I want to say it was, let me get the list up here for a second. I had the list. It was, is it like Mexico? No, let me get it out. Get it right here for you guys. Where is it? I'm trying to find it. There it is. Canada, Japan, and Germany. So Matchroom is looking to open up 3 more divisions. Obviously, they opened up Matchroom Italy and Matchroom, I think, Spain this year, along with Matchroom USA, which was opened up last year, I think, officially. They're looking to open up Matchroom Canada, Japan, and Germany. Gary, thoughts on just Matchroom overall with this expansion? Do you think it's a smart move to make? Do you think it's the right move to make? Do you think it's going to be successful? Like, thoughts on Matchroom expanding to 3 more regions after they've already expanded a lot in this last 18 months?
Matchroom Canada, I think, is a good idea because Montreal has already proven to be a pretty good fight city. There's been good fighters to come out of Montreal. I think Matchroom Canada, I mean, again, how much money are you dumping into this thing, right? If you're putting in millions and millions and millions of dollars, I don't know, but like if you put on, in Italy, they do what, 6 or 8 cards a year?
Yeah, something light like that, yeah.
I don't think it's bad. I think if they were losing money on it, they could get out of it pretty quickly because it's only a few shows. Like if they said, okay, we're going to do 30 shows next year in Canada, it might be like, well, all right, let's tap the brakes on that, right? But like say, okay, we're going to do 6, 8, 10 shows in Canada, 6, 8, 10 shows in Germany. What was the other market?
Japan, which I think is a smart market.
Yeah, I think that's smart too. So I think Germany, we was in love with Klitschko. I don't know if it was only Klitschko or why Klitschko, but they were.
I mean, I would say this. I don't think Canada is a big market for boxing. I think Montreal is a good fight town, like you said. But it's a small country. There's only like 30 million people in the population total. Like, it's not the biggest market to tap into. Japan has like 3 times, 4 times the population size, and what, a fourth or a fifth of the size of that country. They're way less, let's be honest. Plus a far richer boxing community, far more deeper boxing community. Same with Germany. Like, Germany is a massive boxing culture and community over there. A lot of fights take place in Germany. A lot of German boxers come out into the European scene. Like, that makes sense.
Ones, though, like Arthur Abraham was not good.
Doesn't matter.
I guess not. I guess it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't. You think those Spanish and Italian guys are good, Gary? Let me tell you, Rigatoni, he ain't good, Gary. I'm sorry to break it to you, okay? But if they're regional stars, they can sell tickets, make money, and then on top of that, just build a new market and potentially grab prospects down the line, inspire the next generation. I think it's an absolutely smart thing. It's what they said they were going to do in Saudi Arabia, right? Like that. Ed Hearn talking about like building up Saudi Arabia and putting on shows there and building up boxing. Like, that doesn't happen in Saudi Arabia. It can happen in Germany. It can happen in Japan. Maybe happen in parts of Canada. But that's about it. A lot of people bring up like who they should obviously link up with to some degree. I mean, Soderlin, I forget his name, but it's for Ben Media saying Mr. Honda. I forget his full name as well. A lot of people they can hook up with, to be honest, and have some sort of partnership to facilitate prospects. But I think Japan and Germany, smart markets to go into. Way smarter markets than Italy and Spain.
Alessandro Riccicini is 24-0 with 20 knockouts, by the way.
Stop, Gary. Stop. Who is he beating?
Oh, a lot of good fighters. He just beat Juan Ruiz. Pretty generic name right there in Mexico. That was during the
The sad part is like, dude, like, do I know Juan Ruiz? Like, it's pretty generic. And then you said, pretty generic name. Yeah, it's true. It is generic. Yep.
That was during the WBC in Cancun thing. The WBC convention.
Mm-hmm.
That was that weekend. And then that's mostly unheard of fighters. But he is the WBC, what is it, silver? Yeah, just WBC silver.
Make sure you guys hit that like button, share the show, all that YouTube stuff. Chase Athletics saying 175 used to be the division dominated by Canada-based fighters or Canada-adopted fighters. Stevenson, Alvarez, Lucien Butte, Pascal, Better Beef. To a degree, yeah. I agree with that. Like I said, like Canada has aspects of it that are definitely fight-friendly. It's not a country that is filled with fighters, that is filled with generational talent year after year. It's just not. Germany is far more of a market that builds talent consistently, and Japan especially. I mean, especially in the lighter weight classes. And your overhead costs for those fights in Japan got to be lower than your overhead costs for fights in the U.S.
Oh, I'm super excited for Japan because you're going to get a lot of small weight class fights, which me and you love. So I think that's great for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's good in Japan. I don't think it's going to cross over much outside of Japan, but I guess I don't really care if it does as long as it does well in Japan.
Yeah, it won't cross over, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. I just want them to put on 6 to 10 shows a year, have those 6 to 10 shows be available to all of us in the U.S. that are boxing fans, and I'm happy. I'm good.
Yeah. It's better than match from Italy, right? You get better fighters. You get great fighters in Japan. They're usually in smaller weight classes.
Plus, in Germany, I mean, there's so many fights that happen every weekend that we kind of just can't talk about because they're not televised. There's no broadcast partner in the U.S. If Matchroom is hooked up in Germany and there's a pipeline to DAZN U.S., that's a positive for me. Like Dominic Bossel, Enrico Koling, like all those guys that we kind of talk about in like a peripheral sense, like they're kind of in the boxing world, but it's hard to talk about them because we never see them. Like you have to like search for those fights. I want them to be available to us in the U.S. I do. So put that on. Like ESPN Plus has been doing for all of like the Frank Warren shows. I love that because all those club shows that Frank Warren puts on, we now see in the U.S. That's a good thing. I mean, I watch all of them, but I don't care. I just want the access to it.
But it's like the next gen shows. We would have never gotten next gen shows in years past, and now we do. And like for what it is, the show box of Matchroom Boxing, I think the shows are pretty good. Like you usually get decent fighters. I'm a fan of next gen.
Absolutely, and plus if it's a weekend where there's like not a lot of options, always good to have something to watch that's combat sports related. Any concern about Matchroom over stretching their ability here as a promotional company?
Not really, because they're more sticking their toe than diving in head first, right? Like if they say 20 to 30 shows a year, like that might be concerned, but I mean that's not what they've done with Italy or
like if they did what they're doing here in the U.S., do all these different markets,
right?
Then it would be okay. I agree with you, because then Eddie just literally cannot be in all those countries at once. Sorry, the guy's everywhere. Moving on, Charlo Harrison, the main event specifically, peaked at 2.233 million viewers, making it officially the second highest viewed fight of the year in the U.S. market. Gary, thoughts on your man pulling in number 2, man, only behind Thurman and Lopez? Gary?
No, it's a great number. Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to make sense of why I'm processing why that fight did so well.
It's weird.
They promoted it well.
They did.
They really did. Like you couldn't get away from the commercials if you're watching football the Sunday before.
Those guys had animosity too, man. Like maybe that, like the cat.
Yeah, that helps.
The same thing happened, not to a degree or not to a 1-to-1 analog, but in a similar vein. Crawford Benavidez did monster numbers on ESPN. And I remember retroactively looking at that like the day after and stuff when we got the numbers, going like, why? Like this, it's Benavidez, like the guy that doesn't really have a lot of hype or momentum around him right now. Like, it made no sense that fight would be Crawford's highest viewed fight ever. But think about all the animosity that they had. Think about the weigh-in scuffle, right? There was moments that, for a casual fan, if you don't know these people, they don't like each other. They're probably going to hate each other a bunch. I'm going to watch that maybe.
The weigh-in scuffle seemed real, too. Like,
yes.
It didn't seem forced or rehearsed. Like, Crawford was looking for a reason to swing on him, and then Benavidez gave him a shove. So,
and
Crawford, bingo.
And Harrison Charlo, I mean, that sit down or face off, that was real shit. They don't like each other. The press conference, they don't like each other. If you caught any whiff of that, and you're just a casual like boxing fan, I think you're tuning in. Like, that's one that you're like paying attention to a little bit more. And then plus it delivered. I mean, thank God it delivered. Because if that fight was just another snooze fest like the first one, would not have been that great.
Well, it was because the first fight, it was close and it was controversial.
It was fine.
It was a good fight. Like, it wasn't an entertaining scrap. It was largely boring in most places.
Yeah. Speaking of boring, Matchroom, who we just talked about earlier, announcing the Jake Paul versus this guy named Gibb fighting on the Andrade Keeler card. And guess what, guys? It's actually taking place of the co-main status. So Farmer Diaz gets bumped down to the third fight from the top. How pissed do you think Farmer and Diaz are? They got to be upset here, right?
I mean, if they got paid, I don't care. I really don't. If I got paid, I don't care.
I don't know, man. I think if you sit down to any of like the guys that are on the KSI Logan Paul card and privately talked to them and said, does it bug you that like these fucking yahoos, these fucking jackasses were main eventing above you and you're like a world level athlete? I think every one of them would say, yeah, it's fucking annoying. But I got paid a lot, so I shut up and I dealt with it. I think almost every one of them would say that.
Like if I had said to you, would you rather be the co-main for $1 million or the main for $750? What would you pick?
Co-main for $1 million.
Right.
But I would still be like, but if the main it was jackasses that have never fought before, and I was a world level athlete, I would still be like, yeah, I'm getting paid $1 million, so I'm like, I'm okay with it at the end. But yeah, that's fucking annoying. Like, why are those yahoos? Why are those fucking jackoffs on stage with us? Why are they pretending to be like us? Why are they masquerading as boxers? Why are they above us on the card placement when they've done jack shit to earn it? I almost, again, speculation, I almost guarantee you all these fighters think that way. And I guarantee you that Andrade is thinking, man, I'm going to lose all my thunder to some fucking YouTubers. The entire fight week, everyone's going to be talking about this YouTuber fight instead of me fighting.
So is Jake Paul fighting a YouTuber or is it just some boxer?
No, it's a YouTuber.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I know Jake Paul. I've never heard of this other guy.
It's another YouTuber, man. I saw him at like the KSI shit, rocking around a bunch. Looked like a fucking idiot. Like, looked like a complete fucking jackass. And so is Jake Paul. Like, God, that's so fucking stupid. And I almost, like, a part of me thinks that these guys are probably going to get paid better than, like, Keeler is for sure. For sure, Daniel Roman and Akhmadiliev, they're not getting paid what Jake Paul is getting paid. Like, Daniel Roman, a unified world champion, arguably the best super bantamweight on the planet. He's an afterthought, going to get paid a percentage of what some YouTubers get paid. Welcome to capitalism. That card's going to be a fucking shit show, like, guaranteed. And speaking of shit shows, brief mention of this just as like a PSA to those that listen, and because we have used this person as a source, not a source, but just as a reporter at times for stories. Barboza Box on Twitter. I forget what his real name is. I know he works for ESPN Deportes and ESPN. I think it's First Round Knockout, that show that they have. But he said pretty racist statement about Gervonta Davis and then try to cover it up that Gervonta Davis calls himself this, so it's okay. Look, guys, first off, we're never going to be using this fucking piece of shit person ever again as a source for information ever again. Apologies if we ever did. And I know we did. Apologies. But like it's 2019. Apparently we have to have this conversation still. It does not matter what black people call themselves. If you are not black, do not call them any variation of the N-word. Do not say that they look like a monkey or do not compare them to an ape. Don't do any of that. Regardless of what they call themselves. Like, this is common sense. Okay? It's 2019. You have no excuse. Okay? So, sorry, Barboza Box. Fuck off, you piece of shit. Okay? You knew what you were saying then. You knew what you did. And you thought you can get away with it. Because it's boxing. Like, let's be honest here. Like, there's a lot of degenerate assholes that are part of this industry that are racist bigots that are still making money off this industry.
And it largely goes, like, as far as the mainstream media goes, it goes undetected, right? Like, could you imagine if someone said this about LeBron James or, Kawhi Leonard or, Todd Gurley in the NFL? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be all over the place. It's in boxing, 10 people know about it. You know what I'm saying? So will he get fired? Probably, but I wouldn't say definitely because largely no one knows about it outside of boxing hardcores.
Yeah, I hope that they make a scene about this, to be honest. Like, this is inexcusable. Like, and again, I know his excuse is like, oh, Gervonta Davis has called himself like, oh, the ape is coming back to Atlanta. Guess what? He can call himself that. You, as a non-black person, cannot call him an ape. It's 2019. Get it through your thick, inbred, ignorant head, okay? You cannot say that, okay? For no reason. You sing in a rap song, you can't say the N-word. Get over it. It's not that hard. Trust me. It's not that hard to not call a black person an ape. It's not that hard to not use the N-word. It's not that hard to not be a bigot. Like, it's not that hard, people. And ignorance is not an excuse anymore. Especially when you work at ESPN. Fuck out of here, man. You got no slack, no second chance from me. Fuck off. You're done.
Do you think he was just trying to be edgy? Like, I mean,
I'll put it this way.
What we're doing.
Not making an actual connection between these two events, but I know that there is a lot of racism and bigotry within the Hispanic community towards black fighters in boxing. Obviously, we had the incident of a reporter emailing Golden Boy racist things and calling Al Heyman the N-word and Black Hitler and stuff. And Golden Boy gave that guy credentials. Okay? So, it's an issue that is prevalent in this sport that needs to be addressed. Like, this guy, Barboza Box, he thinks that way. Like, maybe he's trying to be edgy, but not really. I think he legitimately is probably a racist piece of shit.
But then you wouldn't say, you know what I'm saying?
No.
He wasn't crossing lines. He knew when he said that he was crossing lines. He was just wanting to see if it got a laugh, if it got picked up. Like, there's no way he did that not knowing what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knew he was
I know it, obviously. I think here's my thought about racist people. I think they think everyone else thinks like them most of the time. Racist people don't think that what their worldview is wrong. They think they're in the right. So innately, they often don't feel like ashamed of themselves. Like, that's why like bigots and racists will often out themselves more than anything, right? Because they're the ones that are going to get out there saying this shit because they feel like it's okay. Other people should think this way. So I totally get your point, Gary. I don't think that's the case here. Like, it's pretty obvious what his intention it was, the emotion behind it. Like, fuck this guy. Like, I am so upset, like, that somebody at ESPN, like, thought that they could say this. Like, think about that. And if there are no ramifications, because like you said, Gary, like, it's boxing. If this was LeBron James or let's say like another person that's like a prospect basketball player, I'm trying to think of names, like a Ben Simmons, right? Ben Simmons, a great comparison. If somebody said this about Ben Simmons, it would be over everywhere. Fox Sports, ESPN, everywhere. It would be. If a ESPN reporter called Ben Simmons an ape, oh my fucking God. And then use the excuse where he called himself that. No. That's not what it is. And I see racist assholes in the chat right now. You're about to be blocked, letting you all know that. I'm not giving any of you all some slack here, okay? If you're saying, oh, you're a snowflake, you're triggered, my guy, he's calling a black man an ape. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I know for sure Craig Bowler, Bronze Plumber, you motherfuckers call black people apes. 100% guaranteed. Let's be honest about it. So, bye. I'm done. No, you don't get any slack here. You're gone. Sorry. You want to defend racism? Then fuck off. You have no right to be on this platform, no right to be in this chat. You can listen to the show. Have fun. You don't get to participate. That's why I don't let Yahoo Heyman World, who's an anti-Semitic asshole, call in, because he's a racist asshole. You don't get the privilege of participating on this show if you support racism and bigotry. End of the story. Sorry to burst your bubble there, mate. But you can't go out there saying, "Oh, you're triggered." No, motherfucker, you said something racist. If you cannot just say the obvious and state the obvious, then you too are probably racist. And I don't even need to go through the process of finding out who you are, some random person online. Sorry. But yeah, Barboza Box, fuck off. Hope he's fired. Piece of trash, human being, racist asshole. What else? Let's get to any other points though, Gary, on that? We have one fun topic to get to and to laugh about. Then callers.
What thoughts on that?
Yeah. Definitely curious to see the fallout though and what happens. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. out there, and obviously did not switch over to his dad's account, saying, "You are winning the fight. Believe in you, and have all the faith. You will be back stronger. Don't listen to the haters. You're a real champion. I got your back. Come back stronger." Jacobs is lucky he was fighting dirty because you were getting closer and closer with that right hand. Look, either this is Chavez speaking in third person, which I equally hate, or it's Chavez, again, thinking he's on the burner account and didn't switch over, a la Kevin Durant. I don't know which one it is. Either way, it's hilarious and sad. But Gary, thoughts on Chavez giving himself a little pep talk on Twitter there?
I mean, someone's got to do it, right? Like, someone needs to pat you on the back. The problem is, like, a lot of what he said was true. He was getting close with the right hand. He was having moments, right? Like, so why did you quit over a broken nose? It's like when he's saying that you'll be back. I'm like, well, what happens if he breaks his nose again? What happens if he,
His nose will be stronger, Gary. Okay? Do you not hear him?
First of all, I mean, nothing surprises me anymore with Chavez.
But
right?
what do you think it is? Do you think it's him having a pep talk to himself in third person, or do you think it's he thought he was on a different account?
Thought he was on a different account.
Again, I don't know which one's more sad. I think it's the pep talk in third person. That has to be more sad and depressing, right? So I'm hoping it's the burner account. But even then, that's pretty fucking sad. Oh my God. Poor Chavez. When I saw this, I thought it was Chavez Sr. talking about his son. Because he's talking about you, right? Oh, it's Chavez Sr., like whatever. Giving a pep talk to his son. No big deal. And then Rob was like, no, it's Junior. And I'm like, no, it's not. Went back and read it. Whole new perspective on Chavez, man. Hilarious. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think it's going to be one of those things where he sent it, and then he liked it, and retweeted it, and tried to make it go its rounds, and then he realized that
it was all on one account. It was his real account. Again, Chavez Jr. is a national treasure, guys. Let's just be honest about it. God, so good. But Gary, that's actually it for today's show, man. We're running out of time, running out of topics here. Nothing else to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And I went on a little rant there about jackass on Twitter. Sorry. But that shit really, like, bothers me, man. Like, it's 2019. Like, even though, like, there was never an excuse to be racist and call black people apes, it's 2019. You should know better now. Like, we've had enough context clues here as a society to know what is racist, what isn't. And like you said, Gary, he knows what he did. Absolutely. He just thought he was going to get a laugh about it because he thought other people think like him. And they don't. And largely, people went after him, which I love to see. I love that the boxing community went after this guy. That was amazing to see. Some solidarity across PBC fans, Matchroom fans, Golden Boy fans. It seemed like, and like different outlets, news reporters, everyone got together and said, fuck this guy. I love that. Solidarity at its finest, guys. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, on all social media platforms. Hope you guys enjoyed this show. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Gary?
Pretty good show today, Matt. I mean, a lot of news fell in. But find me on all forms of social media at 3D Boxing Blog. Remember to like, subscribe, do all those things. Help us support the show. From Texas to the world. Good night and God bless.
Peace.
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.